Today on The Eagle, we shall be talking about diabolism in fraud, reality or fiction. First, what is diabolism? The word diabolism descends from the Greek word diabolos, which means slander. In British slangs, diabolos or diabolical can also mean disgraceful or bad. But in Nigerian parlance, diabolism is the act of using juju or being fetish. I am your host, Aisha Mohammed. Thank you for joining us as we talk about diabolism in fraud, reality or fiction on this episode of The Eagle.
My name is Abdulrashid Bawa, the Executive Chairman, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. I want to use this medium to urge all Nigerians to eschew all manner of electoral fraud, either through vote buying, vote selling, or fraudulent manipulations of electoral processes. I'm fully persuaded that we can run our electioneering processes devoid of any form of criminality. Let us all be committed to a free, fair, and credible dealings in the exercise of our democratic rights. Thank you.
Report any electoral fraud to the following numbers. You can also send any relevant information to info@efcc.gov.ng or to all our social media platforms at official EFCC. Also, use the EFCC mobile app, the Eagle Eye, to report. Your vote is your power. Protect it. The Civil Society Groups for Good Governance commended the Executive Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC, Abdulrashid Bawa, on his tremendous achievement since assuming office, promising that his works will always be a reference point of courage in the task of fighting economic and financial crimes. The commendation was made by the president of the group, Comrade Dominic Ogaku, when his team paid a courtesy visit to the EFCC headquarters in Abuja. Here are details of their visit, but before that, let's take this report.
The Executive Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Abdulrashid Bawa, has charged management staff of the Commission to see themselves as critical stakeholders in the anti-corruption crusade. He gave the charge at a 3-day management retreat of the Commission. The retreat, themed Consolidating on Achievements for Enhanced Performance and Greater Impact, was for management to create a family atmosphere where management are expected to tell themselves the truth and explore new initiatives to further galvanize the fight against economic and financial crimes in Nigeria. The EFCC boss urged the participants to think outside the box and bring up ideas that would better the EFCC and the country at large.
This retreat, as I said, is self-evaluation of our own, and then, of course, re-strategizing, for the future. Both we, the leaders, and the EFCC and the at large is going to be better for it in terms of, investigating and prosecuting of economic and financial crimes.
In his remarks, the Secretary to the Commission, George Ikungu, said there was need at every point in time for an organization to evaluate its activities with the hindsight of re-strategizing to advance its mission and vision. According to him, the retreat is organized to take stock of the Commission's activities in the past year across all departments and operations, evaluate them, and come up with projections for the current year, while re-strategizing to achieve the set goals.
So we have come here to review our year 2022, which is the first full year of January to December of this new management. And then to set new targets for ourselves and to see how to prepare, the exit of the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, which has been so supportive of the fight against corruption, and then welcoming the new government and present our vision and mission to the new administration coming in, so that the EFCC can always improve in its operational models.
Speaking on the topic, strategic leadership, an imperative for optimum organizational performance, Director Staff, National Institute for Security Studies, Air Marshal Mohammed Garba Gumi, retired, took participants through a critical thinking of the role leadership plays in the direction that an organization goes. He described strategy as the balanced relationship among ends, ways, and means, and that for any organization to succeed, it must get its strategy right.
Strategic leadership, particularly in the environment we have found ourselves now, has become imperative. Why is this so? Because the strategic environment is volatile, is uncertain, is complex, and therefore ambiguous. To address this environment, leadership of every organization must develop their competencies of strategic leadership.
Gumi commended the EFCC for having a strategic plan which copiously distills the Commission's vision, mission, and core values, and urged the staff of the Commission not to be dejected in their fight against corruption, in spite of all the challenges facing them. Gumi noted that capacity building is a very important resource in any strategic plan. In his presentation titled Leadership in the 21st Century and Organizational Performance, a leadership development consultant, Linus Okorie, provided down-to-earth practical examples to distill necessary leadership skills needed to help move the Commission forward. Okorie, while shedding light on the 21st century realities of leadership, stressed that globalization, technology, diversity, information overload, and individualism now have roles to play, especially as the world has now become a global village, and that leadership without strategy is a tragedy.
The most important decision is a leadership retreat for top management. All institutions of the world that have made great progress, they have invested in the leadership capital of their teams. And this is why my heart is so filled with joy that EFCC is also going on the path of progress, on the path of transformation, on the path of self-reinvention, on the path of leading a new generation of thinking that will inspire the confidence of the Nigerian people that this institution will be able to live in the new era relevant for building a Nigeria of our dream.
Other presentations bordered on mental health and well-being, fundamental human rights, obligations of the EFCC, electronic documents management system, assessment of the implementation of the EFCC Strategic Plan 2021 to 2025, digitalization of the EFCC processes and procedures, and assessment of the implementation of the Commission's policies and SOPs and standard operating procedures. Participants at the retreat included directors of the Commission, unit heads, and zonal commanders. The president of the Civil Society Group for Good Governance, Comrade Dominic Ogaku, noted that the EFCC under the current administration has done tremendously well, especially with its record of highest number of convictions since inception, and that attacks against the Commission are coming from corrupt elements out to demean its good works. The group disclosed that they discovered that the campaigns were antics of politicians looking for a cover-up for their wrongdoings. They further commended the executive chairman on efforts in the area of staff welfare, while appealing to the Commission to give accelerated treatment to some delayed petitions, especially in areas of procurement fraud.
The truth be told, the EFCC under this current administration has tremendous achievement. Again, we want to commend the Bawa Abdul Rashid-led EFCC because our independent investigation shows that staff welfare is on the front runner. There's a tremendous improvement in terms of how staff welfare is being taken care of.
Responding, the Secretary to the Commission, George Ekpungo, commended the works of the group, stating that the EFCC is ready to collaborate with any group in the fight against corruption. He said the commission recognizes civil societies as front burners in the fight against corruption, as well as the wheels through which a society is mirrored.
So my own plea to you people is just to continue to stay true to yourselves and to the objectives of this fight against corruption, you understand, and collaborate with us more.
Ekpungu charged the group to continue to stay true and collaborate with the commission, as the anti-graft war cannot be won in isolation. Highlight of the visit was the presentation of the Commendation Award to the commission. Ojo Chukutami Eche, reporting for The Eagle.
Next is Conviction Update with Abbas Abubakar Umar. Over to you, Abbas.
For the week of February 28th to February 24th, 2023, the EFCC recorded 67 convictions. A breakdown has the Port Harcourt command of the commission securing 14 convictions, making it the command with the highest convictions in the 8th week. This is followed closely by Lagos Command with 13 convictions, Kano with 9 convictions, and Ibadan with 7 convictions. Benin got 6, while the headquarters secured 5 convictions. Abuja and Makodi zonal commands of the EFCC secured 4 convictions each. And finally, Oyo Command got 3 convictions, while Gombe secured 2 convictions. This brings the total convictions for the week under review, that is between February 20th to February 24th, 2023, to 67.
If you describe something as diabolical, you are emphasizing that it is very bad, extreme, unpleasant, or devilish. Let's move to our interview segment, where Golden Onwura is standing by to take us through the topic of the day, which is diabolism in fraud, reality or fiction. Over to you, Golden.
Hello and welcome to the interview segment. I am Golden Onwura. Today we'll be discussing diabolism in fraud, reality or fiction. To discuss this with me is ACE2 Obiageli Okechukwu. She's the head Cybercrime Section of the Abuja Zonal Command of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Generally speaking, what is fraud?
Fraud is a false representative of facts with an intention to gain material gain or financial gain.
So who is a fraudster?
A fraudster is the person that's actually perpetrated fraudulent activities.
Is there any specific, kind of people that can fall victim of fraud?
Anybody can fall a victim of fraud. Fraud is what people set out to do, from the rich to the poor, but basically people with a greedy mind or intention. So it ranges from any level of people. Individual can fall into it. Not only about a specific person, but individuals with a greedy mind or that are not contented with what they have or their standard of living. Those are the people that easily fall prey.
And let's look at the bone of contention now. You see people always say that they were diabolically manipulated to part with their hard-earned money, that somebody used juju in quotes to make them give out their money. What is the place of this in law, or where does this come to play when it comes to fraud?
Actually, when people allege that they are manipulated diabolically to part with their money or their material wealth, I see it as people that are really greedy, because there is nothing like diabolical means of taking things out of you, because there's no place in the law or Nigerian constitution that actually promotes diabolism. So I want to believe that people who fall prey of it is mostly people who are greedy and who are not contented. I want to also state that the victims most times gets lost with what is presented before them, and the information given to them ab initio is not complete. and they didn't go to get into it, to investigate it, to know how authentic, how real it is. And it's easier for such people to become a victim of fraud.
So how does the EFCC handle this kind of fetish-based fraud?
What we normally do is that when we get people like that, most times we try to investigate. But I want to also point out issue. Most times during investigation, when you see all those diabolical things, it's fake. It's a setup. You go for investigation, you see a house, a hut that is set up with all manner of fetish things, which they will get a stick and whatever, mold something and keep it. If you look deep, if you investigate deep, sometimes you see a hole that is digged into another place. So what they do is that where they put that pipe, they will be talking from there, and then you'll be hearing the sound on the nest in the hut where they take their victim. So while the people are talking there, the victim is hearing it. He will think it's the God speaking to them. So it is not real. Those things are set up. They are made believe. And then they will tell you it's diabolical.
So what can Nigerians do to prevent falling victim of fraud?
It's so easy. First of all, we have to start living within our means. We have to stop promoting ill-gotten wealth. We have to stop the culture of when you see a young boy of 18, 19, 20 living large, we'll start celebrating them. By the time we stop celebrating them, the tension will go down. The youth will stop thinking that these are the lifestyle that they need to go, because they don't want to work hard anymore. They don't want to put in their best. Everybody wants quick money, and then it puts them into trouble. So by the time the youth stop, and the masses too, stop promoting and celebrating ill-gotten wealth, people who have tried, people who have strived in their endeavors and they've made it in life, and we'll start celebrating them. People who have used their brain, their intellectual property to create something in the society. By the time we start celebrating them, the youth will be able to change their perception of life. If we can do that, that will be a very good thing. Another thing is that parents should look into their families. These days, when you see a young boy after committing crime or fraud, they will go and buy their parents' car, buy their parents' houses, and their parents will be celebrating them, thinking that their children are doing well. Meanwhile, they are not. They are just leveraging on the hard work of other people that has suffered to get. They try to get it from them. So if the parents to look into their children, stop celebrating, ask your youth, where are you? Midnight, you see them loitering around. You see them thinking, using computer. They are not using computer to do something serious, but they are trying to look for people, innocent citizens, to defraud. So the parents should also be held accountable about the lifestyle. There is this thing they say that you train a child in the way that child will go. When they grow up, they will not depart from it.
Thank you so much for doing justice to this topic. But just before we go, what are your last words on this?
I want to state that Nigeria is in a crisis situation, and where a lot of things have gone wrong, the society, and we have neglected a lot of things. So I want to say that I call on all our national leaders in every level of government, the private sectors, the parents, the religious leaders, and civil society. They need to come together and then join hands with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to fight this fight. It's not one thing that should be left for the commission alone, so that we'll be able to rid the nation of this ill in the society.
Thank you very much, ACE to Obiageli Okechukwu, for coming on the program. Call it diabolism or juju, but the truth remains that in most cases of fraud, there is always a place of greed on the part of the victim. Therefore, focus on making an honest living instead of looking for an easy way out, thereby exposing yourself to fraud. That's all we can take from the interview segments. Back to Aisha for the rest of the program.
Thank you, Goldin, and our guest. Join hands with the EFCC to fight economic and financial crimes. Be selfless and say no to greed to avoid being scammed.
Election is here again, the current story come again to use money deceive us again, yo. But you see, never again, make I sell my vote for gain and suffer another 4 years again.
EFCC ya kama da kana bada kudin voti, zaka sha wuya a cikin kurkuku da aiki.
Obuna EFCC jideki ebina zumo bure vote, aga tubagi no lomporo. Yotago
EFCC baka e muton ba betele koto dibo. Watele won. EFCC catch you. They do election mago kiri go welcome you. Nigeria of our dreams, so nice in our votes. We say no to vote buying. The eagle is watching. Say no to vote buying. This message is brought to you by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
And that's a wrap on today's Eagle. You can send an email to info@efcc.gov.ng, and to speak to our officers or representatives, you can call 0809 3322644 and follow us on all our social media platforms at Official EFCC across all the social media. For all matters relating to economic and financial crimes, use the EFCC mobile app, the Eagle Eye, to report any fraud you see happening around you. You download the app, you follow the steps and report fraud on the go. And you can also take pictures of corrupt practices and upload them. I am Aisha Mohammed, leaving you with this parting words that says, corruption is the enemy of development and of good governance. Get rid of it. The government and the governed must work together to achieve this national objective. Do stay safe, be kind to yourself and to others around you. God bless Nigeria. Goodbye and enjoy the rest of the week.